All right, thanks, guys. The Chargers take on the Chiefs, 8:20 Eastern kickoff this Thursday in Kansas City. The Chiefs open the betting as the 3.5-point favorite, and the total at 56.5. And since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we are seeing movement downward on the total. That one has dropped to 55.5. So once again, KC opened up and remains the 3.5-point favorite. Total open 56.5 down to 55 and a hook. 55% are leaning Kansas City. 64% of the consensus is shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Chargers are plus 155 for some money line cash. Kansas City's minus 169 on the money line themselves. Now, KC having a real tough time covering the number for their backers in the past couple of weeks. They're 0-4 ATS in their last 4 games. They've also failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6. This Kansas City defense is giving up they're giving up a lot of points per contest. They're actually giving up 27 points per game. They're allowing 128 yards rushing. They're also just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 at home, taking on the Chargers, if you like historical trends. And speaking of the Chargers, pretty good against the number as of late. They're 4-2 against the spread in their last 6. 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 away from home. They've had marquee covers over Pittsburgh, Oakland, Seattle, and Cleveland during that stretch. The Chargers are also 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 away from home. 3-1 ATS when catching the points. They're also covering 75% of their ball games as the official road underdog. Now, scoring-wise, Los Angeles is 4-2 to the over in their last 6 away from home. Their offense is putting up 28 points per contest on the road. Meanwhile, on the Kansas City side of things, they're 4-1 to the over in their last 5. Their offense is putting up 36 points per contest for the season as well. So with all that said and done, should be a great game on Thursday night. Give me the Chargers plus 4 in the over. 55.5 in that one. Of course, I'm going to buy the hook and move that up to bring that to Chargers plus 4 in the over. 55.5 in that one. All right, folks, let me take a quick timeout. I just want to welcome you to the show. I got some lines of Purslines out for NFL Week 15. But before we get into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. With a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're certainly costing yourself some valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Now, memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take you a couple of seconds. Link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're currently watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. And let's go ahead and jump back into some more lines and Purslines for NFL Week 15. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Texans, Jets, 4:30 this Saturday. That is a 4:30 kickoff this Saturday. The Texans open the betting as the 5.5-point favorite. The total at 42. Since those markets opened this one up, we've seen money on Houston. We've seen money on the under. Right now, the Texans are minus 6.5. Total moved down to 41 and a hook. So once again, Houston opened 5.5 up to 6.5. Total open 42 down to 41 and a hook. 59% are leaning Houston, 61% shaded toward the over. The Jets are plus 230. Houston's minus 260. The Jets are just 5-8 against the spread overall for the year. They failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 at MetLife Stadium. New York's putting up just 20 points per contest. They're also throwing for just 190 yards through the air. Now, Houston on the other side, they're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7. They successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 4 on the road. Houston's 9-1 straight up in their last 10 ball games. Their defense is allowing just 19 points per contest on the year. Their defense is also allowing just 88 rushing yards per game. Now, total-wise, Houston 5-2 to the under in their last 7 away from home. New York 3-3 to the under in their last 6. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it down, and take Houston minus 6 and the under 41.5 in that one. Next game, Saturday night, 8:20 kickoff, Cleveland at Denver. Denver opened the betting -4, total open 44. Since those markets opened this one up, we're actually seeing a slight fade of Denver in the early going here. We're also seeing movement upward on the total as well. Denver's now -3.5 with the total moving upward to 44 and a hook. So once again, the Broncos open 4, down to 3.5, total open 44, up to 44 and a hook. 61% are leaning Cleveland, 68% shaded toward the under. Cleveland's +160, Denver's -170. Now Cleveland, 8-5 against the spread overall for the year. They're covering 64% of their games when catching the points. This Cleveland offense is putting up 25 points per contest. They're also rushing for 102 yards per game. Meanwhile, on the Denver side of things, completely different story, as they've failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 at home. Their defense is giving up 22 points per contest on their home turf. They're also allowing 124 rushing yards at home as well. Now, scoring-wise, Denver's 5-1 to the under in their games at home. Cleveland's 3-1 to the under in their games on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it up, and take the Cleveland Browns +4 and the under 44.5 in that one. Next game, Packers Bears. 1 o'clock kickoff in Chicago. The Bears open the betting as the 4.5-point favorite, and the total at 46.5. And since those markets opened this one up, no movement either way. Chicago open -4.5. They remain -4.5. Total open 46 and a hook. It remains 46 and a hook. Now Chicago, they're 9-4 against the spread overall for the year. They've been very good covering the number. They've also successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 7 at Soldier Field. The Chicago offense is putting up 29 points per contest at home. They're also rushing for 133 yards per game at Soldier Field as well. Now Green Bay on the other side, they failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4. They're also 0-6 straight up in their games away from home this season. Winless on the road in 6 games for the Packers this year. This Green Bay defense is allowing 29 points per contest on the road. They're also allowing 130 yards rushing in that same category. Now, scoring-wise, Green Bay 3-3 to the over in their games on the road. Chicago 4-3 to the over in their games at Soldier Field. They're 62% to the over in all of their games overall for the season. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it down, and take Chicago -4 and the over 46.5 in that one. Next game, Dolphins-Vikings, 1 o'clock in Minnesota. The Vikings open the betting as the 8.5-point favorite, and the total at 44.5. And once again, since it's so early in the week, not a whole lot of movement on both the spread and the total. Minnesota opened and remains the 8.5-point favorite. Total open and remains at 44 and a hook. And at the moment, 72% of the consensus is leaning toward Miami. Now, if you like Miami in this one, just keep in mind they've lost 5 out of their last 6 on the road this season. They're also just 1-5 against the spread in their games away from home. This Miami offense is putting up just 17 points per contest when traveling. They're also throwing for just 170 yards per game on the road as well. This Minnesota defense, they're not going to propose any easy challenge for Miami. This Minnesota defense is allowing just 19 points per contest at home. They're also allowing just 181 yards passing at home as well. Minnesota's also 4-2 straight up in their games on their home turf. 4-2 against the spread at home. They're also 6-1 ATS in their last 7 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, Minnesota 5-1 to the under in their games at home, 4-1 to the under in their last 5 ball games outright in any location. Meanwhile, Miami 5-1 to the under in their games on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, buy it down, and take Minnesota -8 and the under 44.5 in that one. Next game, Raiders-Bengals, 1 o'clock kickoff in Cincinnati. The Bengals open the betting as the 3.5-point favorite, and the total at 46.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we've seen a slight fade of Cincy in the early going here. We're also seeing movement downward on the total as well. Right now, Cincinnati's -3 with the total moving downward to 46 even. So once again, the Bengals open -3.5 down to -3. Total open 46.5 down to 46 even. 61% of the consensus is leaning toward Oakland. 73% of the consensus is shaded toward the over. Oakland's plus 150. Cincinnati's minus 170. Cincy's actually successfully covered the number in 2 out of their last 4, despite how bad they've been in recent weeks. They're also successfully covering the number in 2 out of their last 4 when laying the points. The Cincinnati offense hasn't been much slouch either. They're scoring 24 points per contest. They're also 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 at home, taking on Oakland if you're into historical trends. Now, Oakland, on their side of things, they're just 1-2 against the spread in their last 3. They failed to cover in 6 out of their last 8 ball games. This Oakland offense is putting up just 15 points per contest on the road. They've lost 5 out of their last 6 outright away from home as well. Scoring-wise, Oakland 3-1 to the over in their last 4. Cincinnati 4-2 to the over in their last 6. All that said and done, give me Cincinnati minus 3 in the over. 46 total points in that one. Next game, Bucks-Ravens. Bucks-Ravens. 1 o'clock kickoff in Baltimore. Baltimore opened 7.5, total 47.5. Since the markets opened this one up, we're seeing money on Baltimore. We're seeing money on the under. Right now, Baltimore is minus 8. Total moved down to 47. Once again, the Ravens open minus 7.5 up to minus 8. Total open 47.5 down to 47 even. 66% of the consensus is on Tampa Bay. 55% of the consensus is shaded toward the under. At the moment, Tampa Bay is plus 310. Baltimore is minus 365. Baltimore 4-2 straight up in their games at home this season. 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 ball games. Baltimore's 29 points per contest at home. That's how much they're averaging at M&T Bank Stadium. They're also running for 140 rushing yards per game at home as well. Meanwhile, on the Tampa side of things, not too good away from Florida this year. They're just 1-5 straight up in their games away from home. They're 2-4 against the spread in their games on the road. This Tampa defense, this has to be an NFL record because they're giving up 40 points per contest on the road this season. They're also allowing 122 yards rushing. Now, total-wise, Tampa Bay 6-0 to the over in their games away from home. Baltimore 3-1 to the over in their last 4. So with all that said and done, give me the Ravens minus 8 in the over. 47 total points in that one. Next game, Redskins, Jaguars. 1 o'clock kickoff in Jacksonville. The Jags open the betting as the 7.5-point favorite with a total at 36. Since those markets opened this one up, we are seeing a slight fade of Jacksonville in the early going here. No movement on the total as of yet. Jacksonville is now minus 7 with the total at 36. So once again, Jacksonville opens 7.5 down to minus 7. Total open and remains at 36 even. 63% of the consensus is on Washington. 62% shaded toward the over. The Redskins are plus 260. Jacksonville's minus 310. Washington 0-4 straight up in their last 4. They're losing by 16 points on average in their last 3 ball games. They're just getting absolutely decimated. That organization just total dumpster fire right now. Jacksonville 3-2 against the spread in their last 5. Their defense is allowing just 15 points per contest on their home turf. And scoring-wise, Jacksonville 5-2 to the under in their games at home. Washington 4-2 to the under in their games on the road. They're obviously on their third-string quarterback, who just happens to be Mark Sanchez. So with all that said and done, give me Jacksonville minus 7 in the under. 36 total points in that one. Next game, Cowboys, Colts. 1 o'clock kickoff in Indianapolis. The Colts are minus 3. Totals at 47. 55% are leaning Indy. 78% shaded toward the over. Dallas is plus 135. Indy's minus 150. The Colts are 4-0 straight up in their last 4 at home. 3-1 against the spread in their last 4 at home as well. This Indy offense is putting up 31 points per contest at Lucas Oil Stadium. They're also throwing for 303 yards passing, 106 yards rushing at home as well. Now Dallas on the other side, they've been really good at home, but not so good on the road. They're just 2-4 straight up on the road this season. Their offense is putting up just 17 points per contest away from home. This Dallas offense, well, they're throwing for 191 yards on average per game away from home. Basically, all these numbers are showing me they can only win at home. This Dallas team, big trouble away from Jerry World. Now, total-wise, Dallas is 5-1 to the under in their games on the road. Their defense is allowing just 18 points per contest. Meanwhile, the Colts 4-1 to the under in their last 5 themselves. 14-5 to the under in their last 19 at Lucas Oil Stadium, if you're into historical trends. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Indianapolis -3 in the under 47 total points in that one. Next game, Cards. Falcons, 1 o'clock kickoff in Atlanta. The Falcons open the betting as the 9-point favorite, the total at 44. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of Atlanta in the early going here. No movement on the total. Right now the Falcons are -8.5, totals at 44. So once again, Atlanta open -9, down to -8.5. Total opens and remains at 44 even. 68% of the consensus is leaning toward Arizona, 71% shaded toward the over. The Cards are +340, the Falcons -410. This Atlanta offense is putting up 28 points per contest at home. They're also throwing for 301 yards passing in the dome as well. This Arizona offense, on the other side, completely different story. They're scoring just 13 points per contest. They're throwing for 158 yards passing per game as well. This Arizona team is also 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 games. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 on the road as well. Now, scoring-wise, Arizona has scored 20 points or less in 11 out of their last 13. Arizona's just 42% to the over when the line was 45 or less. Meanwhile, on the Atlanta side of things, they're 4-1 to the under in their last 5 themselves. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean Falcons -8 in the under 44 total points in that one. Next game, Lions-Bills, 1 o'clock kickoff at Buffalo. This one opened up as a pick'em contest, believe it or not, with the total at 38. Since those markets opened this one up, we're actually seeing the Bills take significant money in the early going here. We're also seeing movement upward on the total as well. Buffalo's now -2.5, with the total moving upward to 38 and a hook. So once again, Buffalo open pick, now -2.5. Total open 38, up to 38 and a hook. 67% are leaning Buffalo, 60% shaded toward the over. Detroit's +130, Buffalo's -150. Now, Detroit has a bunch of injuries. We have Marvin Jones on the IR, Ziggy Ansah is doubtful, Wagner questionable, plus 10 other players on that Detroit injury list. But with that in mind, Detroit is still 4-2 against the spread on the road this season. Their offense is rushing for 118 yards on the ground when away from home. They're also scoring 22 points per contest when traveling. Now, this Buffalo offense, on the other side, they've been absolutely anemic. 15 points per contest they're averaging. They're also throwing for just 166 yards passing. That's horrible. Buffalo's 5-8 against the spread overall. They're just 2-4 ATS at home, and they failed to cover in 5 out of their last 7 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, both teams are 4-2 the over in their respective locations. So Detroit 4-2 the over in their games away from home. Buffalo 4-2 the over in their games at home. So with all that said and done, I got to take the road dog in this one. Give me Detroit +3 after buying the half a point, and the over 38.5 in that one. Next game, Titans, Giants. Titans, Giants. 1 o'clock kickoff at MetLife Stadium. The Giants open the betting as the 2.5-point favorite, total at 43 and a hook. Since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we are seeing movement downward on the total. New York's -2.5, but the total has moved down to 42 and a hook. So once again, the Giants open and remains -2.5, total open 43 and a hook, down to 42 and a half. 61% are leaning Giants. Tennessee's +130, New York's -145. Now, if you like the Giants in this matchup here, just keep in mind they've been horrible against the number at MetLife Stadium. They failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6 at home. Their defense is giving up 28 points per contest on their home turf. This New York defense is allowing 144 yards rushing at home, which could mean trouble with Big Derrick Henry coming into town. New York's 2-3 against the spread versus teams allowing less than 21 points per contest as well. Now, on the Tennessee side, they're 6-4 against the spread when catching the points, 4-3 ATS in their last 7 ball games. This Tennessee defense is giving up just 19 points per contest. They're also allowing just 219 yards passing. Now, scoring-wise, Tennessee 3-0 to the over in their last three, 60% to the over when the line was 45 or less. Meanwhile, on the other side, New York, very similar numbers themselves, 4-1 to the over in their last five. They're 62% to the over when the line was under 45 points as well. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward another road dog in this one. Give me Tennessee +3 after buying the hook, and the over 42.5 in that one. All right, next game, we're going to move into our afternoon slate of games. I'm talking about Seattle at San Fran, 4:05 Eastern kickoff in San Francisco, Levi Stadium. Seattle's -5.5, totals 44.5, 61% are leaning San Francisco. Now, if you like San Fran to get the job done in this one, just keep in mind they're going to have to play some pretty stout defense because Seattle's averaging 27 points per contest. They're also scoring 25 points per game away from home. Seattle's 9-3 against the number overall for the year, 5-2 ATS on the road. They've successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 7. Now, San Fran on the other side, complete dumpster fire there. They're 3-10 straight up overall. They're also just 4-9 against the spread covering the number. Now, San Fran's allowing 27 points per contest. They're also allowing 108 yards on the ground. They failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 at Levi Stadium. Now, scoring-wise, San Fran scoring 21 points per contest. Not too bad there for being such a bad team. And Seattle, on their side of things, they're 4-0 to the over in their last 4 games, 2-0 to the over in their last couple on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to buy the half a point, move it down, and take Seattle -5 in the over 44.5 in that one. All right, next game, huge game here. New England at Pittsburgh, 4:25 Eastern kickoff. Now, New England has struggled in their games away from home this season. They're 3-4 straight up in their games on the road. They're also 3-4 against the spread away from home as well. This New England defense is allowing 25 points per contest when traveling. They're also allowing 122 yards rushing when traveling as well. Meanwhile, they got a lot of work ahead of them because this Pittsburgh offense is scoring 35 points per contest at Heinz Field this year. They're also throwing for 300 yards passing at home. Pittsburgh 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 ball games. Now, scoring-wise, Pittsburgh 3-1 to the under in their last 4. New England 5-1 to the under in their last 6. So we actually have no lines on this game right now. There's no lines on the spread. There's no lines on the total. So here's what I'm going to do. If the line is 53.5 or less, I'm going to lean toward the over. If the line is 53.5 or more, I'm going to lean under. But overall, if this line opens up within reason, I'm going to take Pittsburgh against the spread. I like Pittsburgh covering the number, whether they're laying the points or catching the points. I like Pittsburgh covering the number. And once again, if the line is 53.5 or less, I'll lean over. If it's 53.5 or more, I'll lean under in that matchup there. All right, Sunday night primetime. This was a really good game on paper in the preseason, but not so much anymore as the Eagles are absolutely horrible. But anyway, 8:20 kickoff here. Philadelphia at the LA Rams. The Rams opened to 8.5, total 52. Since those markets opened this one up, no real surprises here as the Rams are taking a ton of money in the early going here. The Rams are now -9.5 with the total remaining at 52. So once again, Los Angeles opened 8.5, up to 9.5. Total opens and remains at 52 even. 60% of the consensus are still leaning toward LA. Now the Rams are 11-2 straight up for the year, 7-6 against the spread overall. They're also a perfect 6-0 on their home field. Los Angeles is scoring 38 points per game at home. They're also throwing for 353 yards passing on their home turf as well. And this is going to be tough for this Philly D because their defense is allowing 341 yards passing away from home. They're also 2-4 straight up and 2-4 against the spread on the road this season as well. Now, scoring-wise, Philly 4-2 the over away from home. Rams 4-2 the over in their games at home. So with all that said and done, I'm going to buy the hook, move it down, and take the Rams -9 in the over 52 total points in that one. All right, next and final game for the show. It is going to be Monday Night Football, 8:15 Monday night kickoff. New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans opened the betting as the 6.5-point favorite, total at 54. Since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement, although we've seen slight movement downward on the total. New Orleans is still minus 6.5 with the total moving downward to 53 and a hook. So once again, the Saints opened and remains minus 6.5. Total open 54 down to 53.5. 56% are leaning New Orleans, 58% shaded toward the over. Carolina's plus 215, New Orleans minus 250. Now Carolina, real bad. They lost their last 5 straight, 0-5 straight up in their last 5 games. They also failed to cover the number in each and every one of those 5 defeats. This Carolina defense is allowing 30 points per contest during that stretch of losses. Their defense is allowing 26 points per game overall for the year. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, this New Orleans offense is scoring 35 points per contest. They're rushing for 125 yards per game. New Orleans is 11-2 straight up for the year, 10-3 against the spread overall. They've also successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 7 away from home. Now, scoring-wise, believe it or not, New Orleans 5-2 to the under in their games on the road. Carolina 3-1 to the under in their last 4. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it down, and take New Orleans minus 6 in the under 53.5 in that one.